The St. Louis Blues just revealed their brand new uniforms and they're going retro, which seems to be fairly common recently. Of course, you have the teams that did it in 2020, like the Flames, the Buffalo Sabres, and the Ottawa Senators. They all did direct throwbacks to their inaugural season jerseys. Then you also had the more recent ones with the Philadelphia Flyers, the LA Kings, and the Anaheim Ducks, who did kind of twists on previous jerseys. And tomorrow, apparently, we're going to be seeing the Boston Bruins new jerseys. We've already seen those in a leak, of course, that I, talked about in a video. I think it was in April, I believe. And they are going back to a previous jersey, but it's, changed a little bit as well. Going back to a previous look seems to be in right now. But before we do, go ahead and take a look at St. Louis's uniform. If you're new to the channel and you like hockey jersey content, please make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Let's get into it. All right, so this is their brand new home jersey. It's pretty much just their 2017 Winter Classic, so the one that I'm wearing right here, or more appropriately, their third jersey that they've been wearing for like the past 5 years or something like that. So yeah, it's just that jersey. That's pretty much what it is. There are a couple of tweaks to it, though. It's not the exact same thing. It's basically the logo that's different, and it's very, very minor, but they did have a little graphic here. The heritage note that was used on their third jersey, it's a little bit skinnier than the new one, where the new one, that yellow is a lot bolder. It's a lot more, kind of defined, and then it also has a blue outline after that, where on the heritage one, it was white. So the new note definitely does stand out a lot more, especially, I would say, on like smaller images, on social media posts, on like shirts and hats and stuff like that. I think, I can definitely see where they're coming from there and why they wanted to change it up a little bit. The yellow's also a little bit different there as well. But yeah, I do think the new note is a little bit stronger, so I do like that. I actually think that is an improvement. However, if we go back to the jersey here, I'm actually not as much of a fan of it on the jersey itself because, if you just take a look at the Winter Classic version, the white outline, I think, makes the logo pop a lot more than it does here on this jersey because it's a blue outline. So I'm a little bit surprised that they, continued that on the jersey itself. I feel like they could have just stuck with using that white outline. I don't see a problem with that. I don't know why they felt the need to change it on the jersey itself. I, understand it with, the smaller, just individual logo, and I think that works fine, using the white outline on the logo for social media posts and, like all of that stuff that I mentioned, but on the jersey specifically, keep that white outline so, it makes the logo stand out more. It's a little bit strange for me. It's not a massive deal. I wouldn't say that the logo blends in way too much, but it's just something that I don't know why they changed it, to be honest. But other than that and the customization, which is slightly different, and we'll get to that in a second, I believe the rest of the jersey is either the exact same or like really, really similar. I could be missing something here, but yeah, it's basically just that small logo change and the customization that is different. Let's move on to our next picture, though. It shows the full uniform. So you can see there is a kind of different, a new mark there on the pants. On the left side of the pants would be his right. The Blues actually released 3 new marks. We'll talk about those probably after we look at the jerseys because they are quite interesting. They don't show up on the jerseys, unfortunately. There's one in particular that I think would look really, really nice on the jersey, but yeah, we'll talk about those a little bit later on. Let's go on to our next picture, just a close-up image of the logo. Another thing about the logo as well, I will say, is this logo going from this Winter Classic jersey right here to the third jersey that they used to have, and now to this jersey right here, it's kind of degraded a little bit as time has gone on. I've talked about this before, but basically on this Winter Classic jersey, it's a felt logo, and the yellow part is chain stitched, and I love this logo. I think it looks phenomenal. When they moved it over to the third jersey, they removed the felt, which is usually the case. Usually they reserve that felt for like, Winter Classics and stuff like that. They usually don't have it on either primary jerseys like the home jersey or even third jerseys. They usually take it off for that. So I wasn't too surprised about that. But also when they upgraded this third jersey, well, not this jersey, but when they upgraded the third jersey to the prime green jerseys, that also removed the chain stitching from the yellow, which was really unfortunate. It's one of the few times where the prime green logo actually looks a little bit worse than the, Aero Ready and the Climate Light logos on the Adidas jerseys. So yeah, this logo here, I would love if it did have felt or love if it had chain stitching, but, like I mentioned, usually they don't have felt on the home jersey, so I'm not too surprised about that. Still would like the chain stitching, though. I think they could have kept that, but, they wanted that 3D embroidery on these jerseys, so it does make it pop a little bit more. I will say that. That is for sure. it's just a small thing that I like to complain about. It's not that huge of a deal. Our next picture here, we can see that this is inside the bottom of the hem. It just says St. Louis Blues. So this is something that Fanatics has seemed to really like to do. It's kind of their thing, I guess, is to have some kind of word mark or, something inside the back of the hem. The Anaheim Ducks have it. I think the Winter Classics had it. I'm trying to remember if the Stadium Series, I don't know if the Stadium Series jerseys had it, but it seems to be a thing that Fanatics has really liked to implement and kind of make it their thing. So, yeah, that is something that is added. Don't think it's a huge deal, but I kind of like it also. It's just another added thing that is kind of neat to have. Okay, so here is our customization, and as you can see, it's just yellow. That is it. There is no other colors. It's one single flat color, and yeah, I don't know if I like it. I think it just looks weird to me. And maybe it's because I'm so used to looking at the third jersey and this Winter Classic jersey and seeing that it is, multiple layers. Like this one here, it's the yellow and then you have the blue and then the white. So the fact that it's just one solid color now, it does feel a little bit strange. It comes off as just not looking complete. It looks like it's just an unfinished jersey. At least right now, I'm sure I'll get used to it. I'm sure it won't be a big deal. Like visually, I don't think it does look bad. I think it looks weird right now to myself. I still would have preferred them to have, the triple layer. I always like to have more layers. I think it, just looks a little bit nicer. Even if they just had two layers, a yellow and a white, I think that could have looked fine as well. But yeah, it's not a massive deal. I wouldn't say it makes the jersey look terrible. It just right now does feel a little bit odd. Let's take a look at the away jersey, and it's the 2022 Winter Classic. So yeah, they're just using the 2017 and the 2022 Winter Classic. Both are really nice looking jerseys, so I'm definitely okay with it. I've always loved the 2022 Winter Classic. I say always loved like it's been around forever. It's literally 3 years. But no, that Winter Classic jersey, I mean, I guess it is, a throwback to an older jersey for the Blues. Still, it's a very, very nice looking jersey. I absolutely love that thing. And so this jersey looks phenomenal. Now, it's slightly changed from the Winter Classic. Of course, that 2022 Winter Classic did have cream as the primary color. They did not bring the cream over on this jersey. It is a white jersey, which I don't think they're actually allowed to do. Like, I would like cream to be the away color for the St. Louis Blues. I would have loved that. I think that would have been really, really fun. And it definitely would have been something different, but I'm assuming at least that they can't do that. Like, I'm pretty sure the NHL just doesn't allow that. I'm not really too sure, to be honest. It's just my assumption, to keep every jersey uniform and to have it all the exact same. That's my, thought process at least. Either way, whether it is in a cream color or in a white as the primary, it still looks phenomenal. This jersey is gorgeous. I love the striping up top. That shoulder yoke with that little stripe underneath, that is just so gorgeous. I absolutely love that. The logo pops on this jersey. That looks really good. The blue outline matches like that. That works amazingly on this jersey. So it would have been fine actually if they just kept this logo on this jersey and then for the home they just had a white outline instead of the blue outline. It's not like teams haven't used two different logos for their home and away jerseys before. It looks like the Boston Bruins are going to do that with their jerseys that they're coming out with tomorrow, and other teams have done it. The Florida Panthers do it. It happens fairly often, so I definitely would have been okay with it. Either way though, yeah, this jersey looks really, really nice, honestly. I actually really like this one quite a bit. We can take a closer look at the logo. Yeah, looks very nice. They also have that little St. Louis Blues in the hemline there, and then the back of the jersey. This one, I do feel like the customization isn't as kind of jarring to me, and maybe that's just because of the fact that, I haven't seen the 2022 Winter Classic jersey as much as that third jersey. They only wore the 2022 Winter Classic jersey, maybe 3 times in the Winter Classic, and then they usually use it 1 or 2 other times, during the season. So I think they did that probably. I'm not really too sure, to be honest with you. But either way, yeah, it doesn't feel as jarring as that home jersey does, but it's still, I still would prefer another color. I definitely would. Not saying that, but yeah, it looks fine. Not too bad. And then for those wondering about their previous home jersey, they're actually keeping it around as a third. Now, I don't know how long they'll keep it around as a third jersey, especially with Fanatics changing the template next season. So maybe they'll only have it around as a third jersey for one season, and then they'll get rid of it next year. not really too sure, but at least for this season, they are keeping it around as a third for those people who really like it. I really like that home jersey, that previous home jersey. I do think it is a very nice looking home jersey. I am kind of glad it's gone though. For me, it was kind of just time. They've been using it since 2014, so it's been 11 years here, and I like when teams change it up over, 10 years or so. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm ready for something different for this team. So I think St. Louis did a good job here with changing it up 11 years in, even though it is not really a new thing. They're just going to, jerseys that they've worn over the past couple of seasons. Before I do give my final thoughts though, let's take a look at those alternate marks that St. Louis revealed. So this is the first one, River Music. It's the iconic gateway arch reflecting the mighty Mississippi come together to form a trumpet that pays tribute to the historic music scene of downtown St. Louis. This one is probably my least favorite of the three, although I do really like the arch there, which I didn't notice before, like actually reading up on it. I saw the alternate marks without any description, and I just saw a trumpet and then, kind of something on the side there. So the fact that it is the Gateway Arch and then the Mississippi River, that is cool. I like that, but it still ends up being my least favorite of the three. Let's move on to our next one, which is just titled STL. So the STL mark is a bold, treble clef inspired design that harmonizes St. Louis and the blues musical roots. This one is really nice. So it's the mark that we saw on the pants. I would have loved if they had this as a shoulder patch. I think that would have been really, really nice. I think it would have worked perfectly. I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't actually, to be honest with you. To me, it just feels like a logo that does fit on the shoulders, kind of like what the Toronto Maple Leafs had in the 2000s, where they had the TML all mixed together. So yeah, I would have liked this on the shoulders, but it still is a nice design. And then we just have the fleur-de-lis here. So the fleur-de-lis is a primary St. Louis icon featured in our city's flag. The mark infuses flourishes of a treble clef footed by a note head. Really like this one a lot as well. I think this also could work as a secondary, as a shoulder patch. Yeah, it's really nice. I do like the combination of the two. I think that looks great. So yeah, both, the fleur and the STL, I think would look awesome as shoulder patches. Kind of surprised they didn't use them, but I guess they're just going to be marks that they use elsewhere. Like I said, that STL is on the pants. So we'll kind of see, where they use those other, logos, if they do end up using them anywhere else, maybe on the helmets. I'm not too sure. I didn't see the side of the helmets, but I assume that they do have a sponsor patch on their helmets. Most teams do nowadays, so they probably wouldn't fit on there. Yeah, not really quite too sure, but they're nice. I do like them. So overall, what are my thoughts on this rebrand? Well, I would say that I'm positive on it. I do like the fact that they did rebrand because, like I said, it's been 11 years. So in my opinion, it was time. I do love both of the jerseys that they went back to, the 2017 Winter Classic, the 2022 Winter Classic. So those becoming their homes in a way. Really happy about it. But I also think I would like something new, and I don't love when teams just go back to previous jerseys. It does irk me a little bit, but this is one of the cases where I'm like, it looks really nice though, so I'm kind of fine with it. So being slightly hypocritical, I'm kind of happy with it, to be honest. Like, really the only things that I can complain about is the customization and the home jersey, not really having a strong outline with the logo, but those are very minor to me. Not really huge things that I'm going to complain about. I would say, really honestly, this is like a 9 out of 10 rebrand, a 9.5 out of 10 rebrand. I'm really, really happy with it. I think the Blues look fantastic in these jerseys. They looked great in their previous jerseys as well, but, it was kind of time for them, in my opinion. So glad that they are keeping that home jersey, that previous home jersey as a third, and really like these new ones. I think they did a phenomenal job. But those are just my opinions. I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys like this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on all my social medias. I'll be doing a video on the Boston Bruins and their new jerseys tomorrow. I don't know when I'll release it because I don't know if I'll be awake by the time that they release it, but we'll see. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.